First of all, a big welcome to you all this evening. It's great to see so many people here. Last time we did a question time event, we only saw the top half of people because it was all online. So it's good to be able to see some bottom halves as well as seeing how tall people are as well, and actually meeting face to face, which is fantastic. And thank you very much indeed for turning out.
We do a thing at Sale called Mind Gym. So we have 3 hours a week on the Mind Gym. So it's not pushing weights, it's not on the pitch. It's all about mental resilience, recovery, so mental recovery, what people are doing outside rugby, the charity stuff they're working on, stuff like that that nothing to do with rugby, and even backstories of players. So you can get to know people on different levels, which is good and kind of creates that brotherhood that we need and helps create a mentally psychological safe environment. Yeah.
I know quite a lot about the youth zones, is that he does a fantastic job. The police love them because, of course, Nick, as you say, the kids are not on the streets, so crime goes down, they're taken care of, they're people watch out for them, a bit like you were saying just a few minutes ago, Tommy. People watch out for each other. They pay a very modest sub every week, but there's a whole raft of activities that they're engaged in. You know, you think back over the years, you know, we've lost open sports ground facilities, we've lost the old-fashioned youth clubs that some of us, well, you're all a lot younger than me, but that I remember as a kid spending all of my time at. And they've all disappeared. And this is a modern-day version of the old-fashioned youth club, with modern facilities, with every bit of care you can imagine. Yeah. And I think it's great.
And we've got Robbie, obviously my colleague here, you know, he's got the Savage Foundation, but it's lovely just looking behind, this wasn't happening. I mean, we nearly didn't have a football game. You know, we didn't have a football club for a while. Just to see this, you know, it is amazing, you know, just, and then it's ourselves and, you know, some other fantastic grassroots clubs around.
Would you explain what some people here might not know what's going on here?
Yeah, this is. I mean, literally the pitch is used 7 days a week. I mean, this is an academy, and it goes from, I think, the age of 6, I believe, all the way through to 18. And it's a great facility and fantastic coaching. And like you say, it's but the foundation, the Robbie Savage Foundation, is really good because that, you know, the kits are provided for. You don't have to pay anything. They come free. You know, we're getting nearly 3,000 fans now, which is unbelievable. Like, twice what we were getting when we were in the league.
Right.
Yeah. But they come for free, and you know, it's really, we're really proud of that. You know what's happening here. It's lovely that Harts have put on this tonight. You know, while this is seeing all the kids playing, and yeah.
The funding is an issue, big issue. So I think quite rightly to ask businesses for help is, you know, is fair. And obviously it's up to the business whether they do help or not. And I just think, youth provision is really, really important for mental well-being, for people trying to make decisions, young people trying to make decisions. They've got somebody who can help them make that choice, either about employment or education, relationships, and for a place to go, like Nick said, keeping the kids off the street. I know that we've got a few issues with antisocial behaviour in Macclesfield. So yeah, vitally important.
There's a real push to get people off the streets of Manchester, out of the doorways and away from that area. But there isn't the provision for them to put them into the care that they require. So when there's a push out of the city, they then go to the suburbs. So the problem has disappeared in some parts of the city of Manchester to re-emerge in parts of Disbury and Fallowfield and other places. So it's an unsatisfactory situation, and I can't imagine anybody would say it was satisfactory. Because in this day and age, given we're one of the most wealthiest countries in the world, to have homelessness at the level that we have, and child poverty, and family poverty at the level that we have is an absolute disgrace. And it's another example of lip service that's being paid to all of the people, all the citizens of this country, by people who are meant to be governing and discharging their responsibilities properly. And I think Andy Burnham can't get the blame for the homelessness, but I think he's trying to do his best. He's made a commitment, he's set targets. He doesn't like missing the targets, but he's got a problem, which is a bit like shifting sand.
Yeah.
It needs gripping, and I don't quite know how it's going to be done. Until they adopt some of these wonderful schemes that they have in Scandinavia, where they build they build apartment blocks for homeless people who then suddenly are not homeless. And these apartment blocks have facilities that doctors and mental health psychiatrists, people who can prescribe whatever medication they might need, and they have gyms, and they're to try to be brought back into society. But what we get is nothing like that. It's a sticking plaster, but it should be something more substantial.
I know that Manchester were talking about containers.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, making a village of containers, but I don't know how far that's progressed and if that's actually happening or what it's going to look like.
Wouldn't be satisfactory, really, would
A
it?
bit like a refugee camp.
Yes.
Great.
Containers. But yeah, it's an issue. Very honestly, very big issue. I don't know. I think Andy's doing what he can.
Yeah.
Like you all said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, as you all said, it's very tough. But also, when I was living in Warwick, I worked for a soup kitchen and helped out at a place called Helping Hands, which was again to help people get off the street and get their lives together. But it was mainly them. The name Helping Hands was to give people a hand up. It was not just to house them. That was obviously a first step. But a lot of people who came to soup kitchen weren't homeless. A lot of people were vulnerable, had a house, but they were vulnerable, didn't have money to pay for food, so they come along, and people from all different walks of life would turn up every week. And I think that the issue is so deep rooted that it's not just putting people in houses and almost hiding the problem away. It's probably the funding on top of that, and getting people into jobs and getting people into a more stable lifestyle, which is the real difficulty, isn't it? Because there's obviously so many things that go towards that. I think rugby itself has been very progressive with it. I know from 10 years ago, I remember, I can't remember what, it's not good, is it? I can't remember.
Against Harlequin. Oh no, was it?
In training, I remember that. In training, but I think it was 2011, I remember we got knocked out, clean out. It's the only time in my career I've been knocked clean out. On a Monday in training, we had a game on a Friday, and they turned me around and I played on a Friday. That nowadays would never happen. That's impossible, it never happened. And rugby got very good at monitoring the big head collisions. So the ones you see on TV, getting knocked out, even when you're stumbling around. And even this year they've gone even further. So if I make a tackle this year, we've got an independent consultant on the sideline and an independent doctor who will watch all the footage, replay it all. And if I've got it from a tackle and just held my head or rubbed my head, I then have to come off and get tested. I think in football you can monitor it because how many headers you do.
Yeah.
In rugby, it's very tough to monitor. So a team like Harlequins have got these gun guards now which have a microchip in, which then measure all your contacts, your limits of contacts, and then they'll pull you in a training session if you've done too many. So that could be something that football could bring in. I think football's behind a lot of things. And I look at my old man, he played rugby for 30 years and he's almost there, he's fine, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's fine.
just about. Yeah.
Just about, so I might be alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your view? Because obviously you've got all the kids here.
Absolutely, but there was piloted, wasn't it? A heading free game was up in the northeast. Was it a fortnight ago or something?
Yeah.
And Jenny was received well, and some leading figures in the game advocating that it's the way forward. So yeah, of course, it's particularly like you see the heroes of '66, one by one, and then you see why they're dying, and it's. I know, like you say, Stephen, balls were heavier then, but no. I think it will happen.
Do you ban heading here or?
No, I think it's still going on. I mean, I'm not, it's not within my kind of remit to know
Yeah.
exactly the day-to-day side of the
Yeah.
academy. I think it's still, there is still heading involved. Do you know what? Tommy used the word before, consistency. Consistency. If you're consistent at what you do every day, I think that's one. Long term, now that's an obvious thing to say because we're a family business, been going 167 years, so everything we do is for the long term. I'm a 4th generation family member, we have 5th generation members in the family, and I see myself as a custodian for the next generation. So decisions that I take it, we take in the family are for the long term. And then just a retail thing, which is I think it's an acronym, managing MBWA, but managing by walking about. So I don't think I do very much at Reedy Bank. I just drink a lot of coffee and walk about and talk to customers, but I'm present. Now we're lucky because we only employ 100 odd, so it's not a big business. So I think I was adding to that, it's the staff are the most important asset in any business, and I think we can score quite highly on that because it's not such a big business. Like, we've got a doyen of the grocery industry on our right who's as the co-op worth, thousands of work for poor. I think we can still maintain that thing. So start at the top, consistency, and a bit of retail managing by walking about.
Yeah. Well, following on the retail theme, the other one is that I've always learned to live with through my retail career is that KISS is the phrase that's used quite a lot. I think it's very applicable to business. Keep it simple, stupid. That's a very retail comment because sometimes we can overcomplicate so many things. But KISS is something that I always believe in, and I'm sure my wife agrees with that. Maybe not at that level. But the other thing I would say is, and I haven't always succeeded at this through my career, is that always try and recruit the very best people you can afford to recruit because they raise the organisation exponentially. I've not always succeeded at doing that. I still find recruitment a bit of a lottery. No matter how hard you try, sometimes you just make a mistake. But I think if you can do that, it would be great to just see everybody lift because you've got great people around you and the team builds strength from each other, which we were talking about earlier, Tommy. And I suppose the third thing which I do feel very strongly about is any organisation in business has got to manage its cash really well. So cash is king, because even the finest businesses run out of money if the cash isn't managed.
Absolutely.
And they're just my three.
Yeah. I know certainly that you mentioned hiring the best people that you can, and there's a book come out recently about the rise of Netflix. I don't know if anyone here has actually read it. And they're saying exactly the same thing. That's how they built their business, on hiring the actual best people you can. And one of the big sayings that came out of that book was that their average employees get a very generous severance package. So it's all about talent density, getting the best talent that you can out there. And I wholly agree with you that cash is king. And any of you who've been on our webinars will have seen the effects on that. Okay.
I obviously don't run my own business, but I'm going from a marketing angle.
Yes.
I would say number one for me is not everybody is interested in your company and what you want to say about your company, but if you can put out a message about a solution to their problem, a solution to their need, because ultimately that's why people are buying a service or a product. They want something from you. So try not to baffle them with jargon, just keep it simple, like Paul said, and concentrate on that solution. And then number two, I would say try and build some kind of brand personality. Try and get in the same wavelength as your customers. Again, don't baffle them with jargon. I remember taking over the social media side for the developments, and it's very corporate. But once I started speaking how I would speak, and just people can relate to something, not humour or, keeping it still not corporate, but work-wise. You get a lot more engagement, you get a lot more people interested. Just speak to them on their level and your level, rather than too much boring stuff, I suppose. Try to keep it fun. And then thirdly, I would say monitor your competitors. You can learn a lot from your competitors. Everyone has competitors, obviously, and try and find a niche. Try and find something they're not doing. Yeah, those would be my 3 tips.
I know you're not in business.
No, I'm not.
But you have a life after rugby.
Yeah, I do. I think from what I've learned from rugby, I think probably one, just empowerment really. I think the best environments I've worked in have been where they've shared the workload, they've made people feel important. I think Brendan Rodgers, the coach, the manager of Leicester City, says, one of the best managers in the game, says every single player's got written on their forehead, make me feel important. And I think I've seen that in rugby, and I'm sure in the business world people get more motivated and when they have a purpose and they know the purpose of the company, of the organisation, of the team. And I think if you can empower people, they're going to get up every day wanting to work and stay later and stuff like that. So I think for me, I think it's that, and that's what I've experienced.
Fantastic. Well, that brings us to a close for this evening's event. Thank you very much indeed for our panel, Kay Stevenson, Paul Griffith, Tommy Taylor and Nick Bianchi. If you show your appreciation to them.